Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have a new poll from Insider Advantage and it shows that Donald Trump's approval rating is 55%. His disapproval rating sits at just 44%. This is one of the more accurate polls in the 2024 presidential election, and it shows that Donald Trump's approval rating is on the upswing. It's plus 11. And this is somewhat of an outlier, which is true, but it's no more of an outlier than the polls that showed his disapproval rating in the mid to high 50s and his approval rating in the low to mid 40s. And this poll had a better track record than those other polls in the previous election cycle. But the bottom line remains the same. And that is that Donald Trump's approval rating is on the upswing, and he's just barely getting started. You're talking about trade deals, peace deals, the big, beautiful bill. We're only 4 months into his presidency, but he's making a lot of progress. And when the progress actually, comes through, when the dam breaks, things could get ugly for the Democrats because their favorability rating as a party is like 32% on a good day. And that's not something good ahead of the midterms, because if you're giving people a reason to show up and vote for your party, then obviously you're going to probably beat an unpopular Democrat party, even though they're like the higher propensity party. And of course, they think that retaking the House is a given because, the party that's in power always loses seats. Well, if your president has an approval rating in the 50s, mid-50s, and even if we want to say this poll's an outlier, is it within the realm of possibility that Trump in November of 2026 could have an approval rating at like 52, 53% in the exit polling of the electorate? I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible. We'll have to wait and see. But I did want to cover in this video 10 House seats that could flip from blue to red, because Democrats actually are defending more seats. And if you look at the consensus here, Republicans have a higher floor than the Democrats do. And there's plenty of seats that voted for Donald Trump that also voted for a Democrat for Congress. And many of those seats could very well end up being competitive. So in this video, I wanted to take some time to cover 10 House seats that we can flip from blue to red, despite it being a midterm year with Donald Trump in office. So I wanted to start off with this seat in the state of California. And this is the 13th Congressional District, and you can look at this here. It voted for Donald Trump by 5.4%, but it narrowly elected Adam Gray, because you have a lot of new Trump voters, people that are more ancestrally Democrat or just vote for the incumbent congressman or leave their ballot blank in general. If you have this district, you have enough people showing up that would fit a midterm electorate. It may actually help the Republicans, because you saw a Republican win in 2022 where you had a more, higher propensity electorate, but you saw Trump do better, but then down ballot, the Democrats ended up narrowly winning. So this is a district that is still competitive. It's still Trump by 5. Adam Gray, could he possibly lose to a strong challenger? It's very possible. And it's entirely possible California at the state level ends up being closer, and you could have some, coattails from some generic Republican who's the nominee for governor helping out down ballot. So you possibly, in my opinion, could see this district flip. It could be one of those districts that's beneficial to Republicans in a midterm year. So that's definitely the first district here that is one to watch, is California's 13th Congressional District. The second district that I think people need to not sleep on is a little bit of a stretch, because it is a Democrat district. It still voted narrowly for Kamala Harris, but it is zooming to the right, and that is Jared Moskowitz's district, Florida's 23rd Congressional District. You have some districts down here in Florida that voted for the Democrats, but used to be like D plus 50. Now they're like D plus 7, D plus 8, D plus 5. This one is just D plus 2, and it's getting redder by the day, so much so to the point where Jared Moskowitz has had to come out and moderate his rhetoric significantly. But I do believe that there's a chance, if you do still have this momentum in Florida, keep zooming to the right, Florida's 23rd Congressional District could eventually flip Republican. I think the answer is it possibly could. If Republicans have a decent night and they find a decent recruit, yeah, I think it's definitely on the table. Very different than the 9th district where Darren Soto, he outran Donald Trump, or he outran Kamala Harris, I should say, by over 9 points. Jared Moskowitz only did it by around 3. So I think that that's a very probable district that by the end of the decade it's going to flip. Could it flip if Republicans have a good year in 2026? It's entirely possible. So the next district that we're going to be covering is in none other than the state of Maine. And you could look at this, the 2nd district. It voted for Donald Trump by 9.5%. However, it very narrowly reelected Jared Golden by 0.7%. There's a good chance Jared Golden is going to run for governor. If he runs for governor, then this seat opens up. It's basically a Trump plus 10 seat. I think that's all you really need to cover. I think it's very possible Republicans could flip it, or it's very possible that they could defeat Jared Golden anyways, because polarization kicks in, and it's very possible that you could see the seat flip just anyways. Now, he is somebody that actually tries to pass himself off as a moderate, and he does it relatively well. He probably is the most moderate Democrat in the House. That's not really saying much in the current day, but still, he's definitely going to be a tough nut to crack for sure, but I think that he might just decide to run for governor. He'll win, but that seat very well could flip, especially because Republicans are going to put up Paul LePage, who is relatively well-known, relatively solid. That is definitely going to help out. So up next, we have none other than the state of New Hampshire's 1st congressional district. Now, this one is interesting because, again, this is a district that voted for Kamala Harris, but Chris Pappas, who kind of had been this like unbeatable titan in the district, he's not going to be running for re-election, and it's very possible that you could find some Republican candidate to run who would be relatively solid in the 1st congressional district, because you do have this red shift all across New Hampshire for some reason. Like, Republicans have netted like 100,000 in terms of the registration data since the 2020 election, which is insane when you think about it, because, you know, if you extrapolate that to a state like, you know, Pennsylvania, that has probably like 5 times the population plus of New Hampshire, more like 10 actually, come to think about it, that would be like over like 1 million votes that switch in 4 years. That would be like unheard of. So there's a big shift going on in New Hampshire, and could Republicans take advantage of the fact that this is an open seat? It's entirely possible. I'm not saying it's a done deal, but is it on the table? I think it's on the table. So up next, we have none other than the state of North Carolina. And this one's more doable than people think, because you have a midterm electorate. This is a very racially polarized district. It's gotten redder because you have a lot of black people moving to Atlanta from the district, and you have a lot of like older white retirees moving to the district. And then on top of it, you have a lot of like rural black voters that are shifting to the right by, you know, not a ridiculous amount, but a little bit goes a long way. But black turnout in a midterm year, usually a little bit lower. This is one of those districts where Republicans will probably have an opportunity to do better. Ted Budd actually won the district by more than Donald Trump won it by in the state, despite them winning by similar margins, just because of like turnout dynamics and things like that. But at the end of the day, I really think that this could be one of those districts that ends up flipping into the Republican column. It's a very possible pickup for Republicans, especially as they'll be spending a lot of time and energy there for the Senate race that possibly could carry over. So on top of it, we have 5 more districts to cover, but really quickly, got to tell you guys about my friends over at C60 Evo. Folks, there have been times in my life when not getting enough sleep has impacted my work, my friendships, my relationships, and I want to share something with you guys that I take daily, and my sleep is now so much better. The crazy thing is, I take C60 Evo olive oil in the morning. It gives me mental focus and energy all day long, and it helps me get better sleep at night. C60 Evo really works. We're here with Chris, our chief scientist. How does it work so well, and how does it help people sleep well?
What a great question. The reality is, we believe that this works at the mitochondrial level, but before we get there, I want to point something fantastic about what you just said. You were talking about taking a product in the morning and then positively impacting sleep at night. I'm not aware of anything that you can take in the morning to positively impact sleep. Certainly, if you were to exercise in the morning, you could positively impact that sleep that night. If you were to actually wake up and get some exposure to the sun and get your circadian rhythm in line with the rising and falling of the sun, that would positively impact your sleep at night. This is such a unique product, and the way that it works in your system is so unique. Again, you take it in the morning, positive impact on sleep. I'm going to share, before we jump into some of the science, I'm going to share my business coach says it this way. For 50 years, he needed an alarm clock to wake up. As soon as he started taking C60 Evo, he wakes up before the alarm clock. And I mentioned he's a business coach. So he's having late dinners. There's wine mixers that he's going to. He is pushing the realm of his sleep, just like you do, right? You're pushing late into the night to do research. And he still wakes up before the alarm clock when he is taking this product. That's a strong indicator of the quality of sleep that he's getting. So what is it? The main molecule in our product is called ESS60. It looks like this model. I'm actually holding a model of a molecule up. Again, if you're just listening, just imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. So you have a spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. We call this ESS60. The molecule was discovered in 1985 at Rice University here in Houston, Texas. That's where our lab is based. And the three scientists who discovered the molecule won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of the molecule. So pretty fantastic already. They actually thought, for various reasons, that the molecule might be toxic. This is kind of the history of the molecule. And so they put it in a toxicity study. And instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave it to, in this case, it was Wistar rats, they lived 90% longer than the control group. That's the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history. And it's peer-reviewed, published research, the kind of research that you would wear your MAGA hat, right? Wear your MAHA hat, your Make America Healthy hat, hat on, because it is peer-reviewed, published research. That kind of changed my career from being a happy-go-lucky carbon nanomaterial scientist, if there is such a thing. I am one, and I still am one, into the health space, where now I'm digging into the research to try and understand, why do we have the most consistent testimonial being the following? People say they take the product in the morning, and this is one of the jars that we have. They take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. Such an amazing impact. I mean, just pause for 1 second. How important is sleep? Sleep is good. We all know this. Sleep is good for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. If you want to improve mentally, physically, emotionally, get better sleep. And there's all sorts of tips and tricks. I've done videos on how to improve your sleep. The reality is you take this product, and our most consistent testimonial is improvements in sleep. We actually had one doctor who I'm actually have a call a little bit later today with, who said people who are taking our product in his program are getting 20 to 60% improvements in their sleep. That's how valuable it is. Again, we believe this is happening at the mitochondrial level. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. It produces the energy your cell needs in order to do its job. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It's kind of amazing how much energy our nervous system uses. When mitochondria are producing energy, they have some negative byproducts. They're typically handled internally to the mitochondria with some antioxidants. We know that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. And we believe when a mitochondria is stressed, when it's producing more of these negative byproducts than it normally does, this molecule holds on to those byproducts, so they can't do the damage that they normally do. They can't do the oxidative stress, the oxidative damage that they normally do until that mitochondria can manage them appropriately. That's why we believe that it has this positive impact on focus and energy, and the positive impact on sleep. And I'm so happy to hear your testimonial about good sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely it's interesting because it's just a body regulator. And I would say that it's not necessarily about the quantity of sleep, because you can get a lot of sleep and still be tired during the day. It's about the quality. I'd say definitely when I do take it, the quality is noticeably better and also helps you focus in the day. So you would think those two things are a little contradictory, but this product does work. And you can get yours at c60evo.com/redeaglepolitics. The link will be in the pinned comment and description down below so you guys can save. Back to the video. We have 5 more districts to cover here. We're going to start off in the state of Ohio, and there's 2 of them here because they're going to be doing redistricting. And this is something that could very well alter both of these seats. Ohio's 9th district is already basically Trump +7. The 13th district voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Then it voted for Donald Trump by like a very, very, very narrow margin, not even 0.1%, not even 0.05%, to the point where they'd be able to round it up to 1%. So regardless, I think that these are both districts where you could see automatically them be competitive if you have an environment where you are flipping some seats that were Trump Dem seats nationally. But I think that with redistricting, you could make the case that both of these seats could be made a few points redder. I think that would be enough to tank Amelia Sykes. Marcy Kaptur is a little bit tougher, but still, if you're going to be making her district like R+10, I don't know if she would really be able to hold on at that stage in the game. So I think you could make the case that both of those districts in the state of Ohio could flip into the Republican column, which would be absolutely huge. So on top of it, we have those 2 in the state of Ohio. We have 2 more districts in the state of Texas that are both in similar positions because these are very Hispanic-heavy districts. They're more ancestrally Democrat, which is true. You have incumbents that are somewhat, I guess you would say, strong in terms of fitting the districts well. They vote more moderately, or at least in the case of Gonzalez, have more moderate rhetoric on things like the border. But still, Henry Cuellar very well could lose the party's endorsement. He could be going to jail by the election. He has this corruption scandal thing going on, and you may have him facing a much stronger challenger this time around than he faced last time around. If that does happen, I think you could make the case that the 28th district, if you turn out enough of those Trump Hispanic voters that usually only turn out for Trump, if enough of them show up, I think, yeah, the House result could catch up a little bit because this district is zooming to the right. The 34th district is also zooming to the right. It's very possible that you could see this district flip just based on that fact alone. If you can find a strong candidate that could get out enough voters in that district, enough of those working class Tejano voters to vote for the Republicans, yeah, you could see that beautiful border, that Rio Grande, just all 3 of those districts in the valley going Republican. It's entirely possible. It really is. And then on top of it, we have 1 more district. And this one, I think, is something that a lot of people will talk about, but I think it's tougher than people think, and that is the 3rd district, Marie Perez, MGP. A lot of people say that Joe Kent was just a weak candidate, and I do think that he had some flaws here and there for sure you could point to. Definitely, if you're underperforming Donald Trump by 7 points on net on the same ballot, you're probably doing something wrong. But regardless, Marie Perez is stronger than I think people think. She will vote for things like the SAVE Act, even just to save face, no pun intended. Yeah, I think that it's still flippable, though, because it is a Trump +3 district, and if you found a strong challenger that could go for it, maybe it could be more competitive if you have a year where you're going to be able to go out there and flip certain districts. But regardless, it's very possible that Republicans could gain seats in the House is the main point of this video. Obviously, I do believe that they're going to lose seats like Wisconsin's 3rd, mainly because there's going to be redistricting most likely. But even if not, you have people like Van Orden that are just weak candidates that are underperformers. And there's plenty of other seats that very well could flip from red to blue, don't get me wrong, but the fact that you have so many seats that if this is an even competitive midterm, the dam could break and you could have like a mini red wave with Trump in the White House. Yeah, it's possible. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you could make the case that those 10 districts could be competitive, and I would expect Republicans to compete in a lot of them. The House is going to be very expensive. It's going to be very competitive, and regardless, there's not going to be a blue wave. The question is there going to be a big enough red wall for Republicans to go out there and hold their House majority, or possibly even expand their House majority? We're going to find out. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.